I was realizing, in terms of thinking about, how do I prop that up better? In terms of thinking, there we go, about what I'm trying to do in terms of convincing people things or whatever. In terms of thinking, my priority really isn't to get people to think like me. I just don't think people understand the way they think now already. I've always been fascinated with how do I think? And I make certain generalizations, and I have to back off, on the very related question of how do other people think. They're both quite interesting. It seems to me I have two very different fields of information deducing answers in each of those spheres. They overlap and yet starkly separate the kinds of things you can know about yourself versus what you can know about other people. Right? You give me that? Okay. So, with the objectivism and the subjectivism thing, my point isn't that you should think in terms of subjectivism, really. I mean, I make that point, but I'm just noticing that it's not really the gist of it to me, as much as you already are subjective. Right? So by definition, if that's true, then whatever system you've come up with is subjective. And when you tell yourself it's not, then you just have a subjective system where you're fooling yourself about that. And it goes crazy. That's why these, you can have a good ethics system embodied in a religion that is for a good reason historically. And the fact that you pretend that it's not your opinion that you should be nice ends up giving license to all kinds of weird, severely ironic outcomes, Priests that prey on communities. How'd that happen? No, really. It's a separate thing. I just injected that there, see. It has nothing to do, actually. No, it does. So I think by definition you're already subjective. You're already, or for example, in a comment to Fede, I mentioned this example. We think that we think about a horse as a thing, but we don't. What? No, we think we're modeling a horse in our brain. We have a picture of a horse, and we think we've captured some essential horseness of it, blanketness, whatever. Right? And then we're modeling it, but we're not. Look, if we were the size of a fleet, but we were a human just shrunk down there, and we were on the horse, we'd have a very different picture of what the horse is. It'd be more like a planet, more like a little planetoid. Your idea, your model of a horse has to do with your relationship to the horse. That's what we're really modeling. It comes to us and we think we're just thinking horse. But that's because we're always ourselves. And when we project that idea of the relationship into our mind, it comes out looking like a horse. Because we're ourselves, it plays back through ourselves. And there you get this idea of a thing horse. Really, that picture of a thing horse is an opinion you have about your relationship to the horse, your relative sizes and everything else. People don't seem to realize they think this way. They already do. I go with the main philosophy is that a person has, to me, is how they behave. And I abstract the rules of their behavior, the systems in their behavior. And that is their philosophy. And then I see if they know it or not. But you could be wrong, Peter. Yeah, I know. And sometimes when they're very insightful about themselves, they correct me. It's a fun game. I'm not invested in being right. But I'm often right about it. And people don't see how their own thinking is working. So, like with 5 stages of epistemology, I'm not trying to convince you should look at philosophy that way. I'm saying you're already working that way. You're already starting from perception. Your idea of what thinking means is way more vague and less sure than what perception means. Just point it out. It should be useful.